why should my hairstyle or my hair texture affect my job? I haven't talked about this in years. Like, this happened a decade ago. What it is, what it ain't, it's your girl AMBREALERTT, and I am back with another video, okay? In today's video, we're going to get into the Crown Act, okay? And it being passed through the House of Representatives March the 21st of this year. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into that, and then I'm going to have a little story time as well. So ready, make sure that you like, comment down below, and you subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this, okay? So March the 21st, 2022, that's the year we're in. The Crown Act passed through Congress and the House of Representatives. They did a vote. The vote was 235 were for the Crown Act and 189 were against it. So let me just backtrack and let you know what the Crown Act is. Crown Act is a bill that expresses non-discrimination against natural hair, including bantu knots, twists, dreads, locks, all of that. So all of the protective styles that, you know, mostly black people wear is being deemed, you know, illegal to discriminate against people of color, of their hair texture in any place of employment, and as well as federally based programs and housing programs. So this is huge. And actually, in I want to say 2020 or 2019, this bill actually got passed in LA. So LA, California was the first place to actually, you know, pass the Crown Act. So now we're just doing it in general. So it did pass the House of Representatives, and now it's going to move to Biden, and all he has to do is sign it off, and then it'll become a law that black people, people of color in general, cannot be discriminated against for their hair texture and their hairstyles in the workplace. This being passed through the House of Representatives is a big deal. Like, it's huge, because black people, people of color, we suffer a lot when it comes to just getting a regular 9-to-5 job. We suffer a lot because of our culture and because of our style. It just makes stuff like culture appropriation even worse, because it's like, why do you want to try to steal our style? And then you can do whatever you want, you know, with your life. You can get whatever job you want, job opportunities. There's a lot of job opportunities that black people, people of color, are qualified for. So why should my hairstyle or my hair texture affect my job? And I feel like it's going to help so many people moving forward. A Democratic rep named Cori Bush stated, "No more black people being made to feel like we have to cut our locks just to get a job." So with all of that being said, I'm going to start my story time. Oh, before I get into the story time, I just want to tell you what Crown in the Crown Act represents, and it's creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. Isn't that popping? Like, I love that. I love that, and I didn't even know that that it stands for something, like, other than what it represents to me. I didn't know that. So I love that. Oh, I need some iced coffee. Okay. So we're gonna take this back for my story time. We're gonna take things back to 2012. 2012, this was the year that I graduated high school. I was 18 at the time, and I was starting school, started college, probably in September of that year. So I got my first like real job in August of that year. I worked up Georgetown in DC. I don't know if did I ever do that video talking about, yeah, I did. Okay, if y'all watched some of my videos, I think I did a video on Georgetown. You saw that video, then you know that Georgetown area used to be predominantly black, and then it, you know, got gentrified. It was one of the first places in DC to get gentrified, and, you know, now it's basically white. I was working up Georgetown in DC. I was working at Abercrombie and Fitch, and that's on M Street in Wisconsin. And that was like my first job at Abercrombie. They have a policy where you can have, they have open interviews, so you can just come in the store and they have like a little computer and you can sign up for an interview, set your own time, set your own day, and do the interview. So they can't deny you of getting an interview. You might not get the job, but they can't deny you of getting an interview. So me and my sister, we did the interview. We signed up for the interview, we did the interview, and we got the job. So we started working there very quickly. Everything happened so fast. And need I mind you, like, this is my first real job. Like, in DC, they have like a summer youth program. So since I was 14, I've been working every summer. So I'm hip about being professional. Like, I know how to work. It's just, this was like a real job. I started working at Abercrombie and Fitch. We all know the clothes is very expensive for it to be like casual wear. It's just casual clothes. The perfume and the cologne are very strong. It smells good, but it's like we used to have it sprayed all over the place in the store. Like, it's sprayed through machines almost. I don't even remember how much, but it was just a lot. Working there, I used to replenish the floor. We had to be like floor models, so we walked around in the clothes. We helped people get dressing rooms. We help people pick out clothes, stuff like that. Rung people up. I did a lot. I enjoyed doing a lot of the backstocking of the shipment. Like, when shipment would come in, I would enjoy the SKU numbers and being in the back, basically checking what we have, what we don't have, what's on sale, switching tags, stuff like that. Like, I like doing stuff like that. Most of the time I would have to be there at 7 in the morning because I had school around maybe 1 in the afternoon. So I would get there sometimes 7 in the morning and stay there till like 12:30, or I would work there from the afternoon to the night and then close the store or whatever. A couple times I experienced like discrimination with my hair, and then a couple times I noticed discrimination, or just blatant racism towards other people and their hair. So when I was working at Abercrombie, my hair was permed most of the time. Like, most of the time I worked there, it was straight, it was permed. So I would just want to have it in like a high ponytail, and they would tell me to take my hair down, that it was too distracting. And I was just like, how is it distracting if it's a ponytail and it's just sitting on the top of my head? Like, I don't get it. And it was a couple of times where I wanted to do like little styles. I used to do this cute little style when I was in like high school, where when my hair was straight, and I would put it would be like a high ponytail, but then I would like form my hair into a bow. So it would look like there's a bow sitting on the top of my head. And they would tell me to take my hair down from that, and that it was too distracting. And I kind of understood that part. But when it was just like a regular bun, like I would put my hair in like a bun, and the bun would be sitting like on the top of my head, they still would say something about that, say it was too distracting. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's just a bun sitting on the top of my head. So I don't know, I just didn't understand like why that was, being directed towards me. And a couple of times I got told to like watch some of the like black people that would come in the store, because they didn't want them to steal, or they didn't think they could afford the clothes. So it's like, why were they here? I got whispers from like a manager of mine. Most of my managers were either white and there was one Asian lady. And she, in particular, she was very like racist, and she was just open about it. She was just like, watch them, they might steal. Like, it was just a lot. And she would in particular come up to me or another black person that was working there and would tell us to watch them. And it's just like we knew them or something. I'm like, what? Like, I started to experience, and this is my first job, so I was starting to experience like racism, like just in my face, and discrimination and profiling, and it was just a lot. And one particular instance that I wanted to talk about, because I read the quote from Cori Bush talking about black people being made to feel like they have to cut their dreads in a workplace. This was a situation in the store, and a guy, he came in, you know, and he wanted to apply. So I told him where he could apply. I told him, look, you can apply for this job, you can do the interview, you can sign up for the interview today and then come back, do your interview, and you know, I hope you get it and good luck, because he seemed like he really was interested. He wanted a job, and he had dreads. And at Abercrombie, you know, there's like a dress code, I guess, or how we're supposed to look. And one thing that passed around that time was like the men had to shave their face, and a lot of the men didn't want to do that, so a lot of men didn't really apply. So it was mainly a lot of girls that worked there. It was men. Like, I worked with, maybe I had males that were like, I had 2 males that were like my managers, and then I had I maybe had like 2 or 3 co-workers, just regular, you know, floor models, whatever. A lot of women could get the job a little bit easier. Boom, he applied for the job, he signed up for the interview, and then he came back and he got the interview. And then a manager came to me and was like, I just interviewed this guy, he's really cool, he seemed like he'll be a good addition working here, but he has dreads. And I was like, okay. And he was like, he has a little beard or whatever, but he has to shave his face. I told him that, and he was okay with that. But his dreads, he just kept saying like his dreads. And I was like, what's wrong with his dreads? And he was saying like, you can't have dreads if you work at Abercrombie. And I was like, why? I was like, it's a hairstyle. And he was like, I know it's a hairstyle, but it doesn't like fit the look here, and it's not acceptable. It's not an acceptable like Abercrombie style. It's not the look that Abercrombie wants. And I was like, and I just thought I would educate him on, you know, being in DC. And I was like, this is Washington, DC. A part of what makes a business successful is them having a target market. And this is a historical black neighborhood that Abercrombie is in, you know, and this is a black area, regardless of it being gentrified and it being white people here. Like, black people come up Georgetown all the time. Like, around the time when I was 18, like, everybody was up Georgetown all the time. Like, it was the hangout spot. Like, it was where to go. Like, it was a lot more luxury places. Like, it was a lot more like designer clothing stores up there at the time that I was working up there. But just a place to be. Like, when we were younger, it was a place to be. So I would tell him, like, you know, I guess I kind of understand what you're saying, but this is DC is a black place. Like, DC is known, like, they don't call it Chocolate City for nothing. Like, this is a black place. A lot of men in DC have dreads. Like, it's a style, it's a culture thing, and you don't have to understand it, but you must respect that. I don't think that Abercrombie should be here. You know, I kept this part to myself, but I was like thinking, like, I don't think Abercrombie should be here if they're gonna, you know, have a store, have such an open interview process, but not have an open interview process. Like, I don't get it. And it threw me off because everything else that he said was fine, especially with the shaving of the face. He said that the person didn't want to but was open to do it, and I was like, okay, well, so what's the problem? And then he kept talking about the dreads, and I was just like, it just stuck in my head like all day. The conversation we had wasn't really that long, but it was long enough, and it was thick enough for it to stick in my mind. So I was just like, this doesn't seem right. Like, let me go look at the dress code one more time. So I went downstairs in the back where we replenished the floor, and there's like a board in the back. So as you come down the steps, and you had to be careful going down these metal steps, and we used to have to wear flip-flops around the store because that was like the look or whatever. So you had to be careful walking up and down the steps, or you would literally trip and fall or hurt yourself. Walk down the steps, and there's like a board right there. It was a bunch of Abercrombie stuff on the board. It was like a bulletin board. So it was a bunch of stuff, Abercrombie stuff on the board, and a part of that board was the dress code, like how you couldn't wear nails. It's like hairstyle stuff, and you know, dress code, blah blah blah. So I flipped through. It was like all of the hairstyle section was like laminated, so it was just like pinned onto the bulletin board. So I'm flipping through the sheets, and I'm getting to the end, and I see, lo and behold, I see a dude with dreads, and it doesn't say that it's unacceptable. And I'm just like, what? I felt like, what? I was just like, but why did he just say that to me? Why did he just say that dreads is unacceptable? But I can clearly see that they tried to hide the dress code. This section where it talks about dreads, I could tell that they hid it because it was like all the way in the back where you couldn't see. And you know, most of the people on the sheets of the hairstyle were white. It was no like people of color on there. So when I got to the back, it was like dreads, and I was just like, so you can have dreads here. He just doesn't want, it's a bias going on. It's like, it's racism. It was just cutthroat racism. I was just like, wow. He just doesn't want to be a manager. It makes it clear as day that a manager has more control than you think. Like, that was just real racist to me. I was just like, wow. You can't survive in a workplace and be that way. And the person that I'm talking about, he didn't last long either, because I just felt like it's just, he was just nasty. I mean, to say that and don't get me wrong, it's like when I was younger, like I was trying to do whatever I could to keep my job. And back then, a lot of cringy things like that would happen, and was having conversations with me, and I probably just was like, yeah, just to keep my job, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like everything he said was racist, but he thought it was okay to say things like that around me, and I didn't appreciate that. But it's like back then, I didn't have enough confidence to really like stand up to somebody like that and be like, what you're saying is really wrong. Like, it's wrong as hell. Like, if it would happen today, I would never allow someone to speak about somebody like that, because I have experience working, and I know jobs come and they go. And, you know, back then I really needed money. And when I experienced that, it really made me be like, I don't know how long I can be here. Because I don't want to be around anybody that thinks it's okay to discriminate against someone because they have dreadlocks, or they have bantu knots, or their hair is just curly in a bush. Like, nobody should be discriminated against because of their hair texture. Like, period. And I'm trying to think of if that was I feel like that was the main place that I experienced discrimination was Abercrombie and Fitch. On top of just not getting paid good, I was getting paid like $8.25 back then, and I was getting paid, I had like 10 hours a week, so I wasn't really making no money anyway. And, you know, it wasn't worth it. Now that I look back at it, it wasn't worth it. Especially, like, I mean, as long as I was there, I was probably there for like 7 or 8 months. And as long as I was there, there probably was one instance where a bunch of people came in and stole some coats. Because at Abercrombie, like, they had the bubble coats. And they were like, they had red ones, they had blue ones, they had yellow ones, and they had black ones. And they were cute. And everybody wanted one back then. Luckily, I wasn't there because I'm not getting involved in that. I definitely didn't get paid enough to get involved in that. I'm just glad, you know, closing up my story time, I'm just glad that something can be done for people that look like me now. Because back then I didn't have any power. I couldn't say anything about, like, I mean, I could have stood up for myself, but that would have cost me my job. And I don't feel like anybody's job should be affected by what grows naturally out their scalp, or the styles that they choose to do their hair in. I get if you come to work and your hair is blue and it's green and it's yellow and it's blue and it's green and it's yellow. I get that that's unprofessional. But if we talking about my curls, like my natural curly hair, and we talking about Bantu knots, locks, twists, braids, like, can we stop? Can we stop? Like, black people have been wearing these styles since the beginning of time, and they represent so much to our culture. And we shouldn't have to explain that every time we switch our hairstyle up. I even had someone come up to me at my job recently and was like, I thought you were someone that was new. And then she proceeded to say, because you change your hairstyle a lot. And I was just like, I don't, though. I don't change my hairstyle a lot. Like, what does that even mean? But if I say you wear the same dry ass ponytail, so I know who the fuck you are, then what? Like, you're gonna be upset by that, but I'm not supposed to be upset because you're telling me I switched my hairstyle up too much and you didn't recognize me. That's just you being an asshole. I hope that you guys like this video. I hope that you guys are excited about the Crown Act being passed as an actual law and it being illegal. I'm so excited about that because it's a lot of companies that are old and they come from old money and they don't understand anything about diversity and being inclusive and being open and giving opportunities to black people. So I hope that you guys love this video. If you have any stories of discrimination in the workplace, please don't hesitate to leave that in the comments because I can relate, as you can tell from this Storytime / Crown Act breakdown. So let's get into these stories, okay? I'm excited. Okay, I haven't talked about this in a long time, so I'm so excited to talk about it now. Make sure you leave your comments below, subscribe to this channel. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.